think we actually walked through the armory, but like there's the. I actually really love going to the Asian art section.
Actually, yeah,
because like there are pieces on display that I just like know culturally and stuff, or like I just like I relate to,
right.
or so it's just like, you know, it feels really nice and like touching to see like something that, you know, is like from your background and culture
that's what
and everything. So
my first trip to to the art museum, I just went alone. I went down and it led me to either the first floor or whatever, but it was like the American history section. I'm like, okay, this is all the stuff that I saw in the history books when I was growing up.
No, I mean, it's same also because like when in like undergrad for art school, you have to take like a couple of art history classes. Like, you know, they're like the standard art history, like Western world art history classes and stuff. So they do touch on like early Philadelphia painters and all. So so to me that all that stuff was like, okay, this is gonna be a boring museum. And then I like worked up to, you know, Van Gogh and the Impressionists. That's Impressionism, right? I think that's around there. Yeah. And then Picasso in the back there. I got real scared back there. His Sunflowers painting is not there right now. It's on tour.
Whoa.
It's in London currently for some special Van Gogh exhibit. So we didn't get to see the Sunflowers.
Oh, that stinks. That's like one of my favorites.
I know, it's a cute one.
Yeah. And then you get to the third floor and the armory like blew my mind.
Yeah.
There's these carpets that must have taken hundreds of years that are just hanging in the hallway around there to make.
Maybe I did walk through the armory because I think some parts like we were just kind of like walking through more like briskly because there's like other exhibits we wanted to see, and you have to get through these collections to go to like the Asian art collection. Yeah. So yes, the carpets caught my attention because they're so old and huge, and like you think about like how people have to carry it and preserve it
for so long.
And there's like loans and insurance and all of these things.
Well, and imagine it's either like one person just spending 100 years and then passing it on to, I don't know. They probably had a few people working on it. But you can only have so many, 4 people working to the inside, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know how it works.
I mean, especially for like all the architectural structures that they brought into the museum. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, those are crazy.
Like there's all those different complexes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. So then, you know, the armory is on the 3rd floor in the back, but then the Middle Eastern, Asia, Europe, like all of that history is on the 3rd floor as well. Which, so now whenever I bring anybody, that's kind of like the progression. I'll walk them through the boring stuff first, and then we go. But then, and then I always end in that back room. You know, you go to that like Japanese room.
Yes.
And then you go in, and there's like the dragon up on the wall, or in the ceiling.
Yeah,
so
we did. I probably did walk through the armory then, because it has that stone structure too, right?
I don't
like the one in the middle with the fountain.
Maybe. I don't think so, actually.
Okay, then probably I
didn't. Well, no, there are different rooms, because, like, so there's the stairs with the person holding the thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all the carpet surrounding that.
Okay.
Behind that statue is where the armory is, but if you just go to the left, that's where the Middle East
then I probably did
European
miss that
stuff. You haven't been there in the back in the armory before? That's the coolest spot. Well, to me, also, I'm a guy. It's like, yo, somebody died by this sword, like... 100 years ago. That's crazy.
No, I don't think. Maybe if I did, then it was probably like 9 years ago.
Well, yeah. I was gonna ask, how often do you go now?
Past couple of times that I went over the past year was mainly for like the Friday events that happen. Like every Friday, they have like late nights till like 8:45, and it's pay as you wish.
I didn't know that.
And I would have gone because, like, one of my really good friends works at the marketing department at the museum. So she'll be, like, come through and everything. So, like, you can go, like, whenever they have, like, these nights on Fridays, like, you can go anywhere in the museum and, like, check out the exhibits.
Really?
It's just we get distracted with just, like, socializing. And even if we go through art, we're just kind of, like a little tipsy. And
do they serve there?
Yeah, they serve alcohol and some
sneaking
snacks.
in flasks or anything?
No, I haven't tried that. But yeah, so like, you know, it's like the vibe is different. That's why yesterday felt good to like go to the museum just for the museum and like spend some time seeing.
Well, yeah, because then so like once you do the whole, you know, outline of it over the course of a 4-hour day, you could even go back another day and spend 2 hours just in one room.
No, like that's like basic. I've been to the Asian art section before too, like probably like 2 to 3 times before, but it's just like so nice to go back, revisit, notice pieces that I probably didn't notice before, take those pictures, think about like how do I want them to like inspire my own art, imagery, or like just stylistic elements that I try to experiment with and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Like, well, I mean, that's, I don't know, some point of some art, right? Is sometimes, you know, I'll just watch a movie for the sake of watching a movie, but sometimes like when I'm watching it now, I'm like, oh, that's a cool technique that they did there. You know what I mean?
I like to get it, and you kind of have like that little kick of like, I want to try that. So
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that's probably a good place to jump in.
Okay,
maybe. Yeah, ladies and gents, welcome back to Articulate. Today we have Sahiti Bonam. Yes, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem. Sahiti works for the Mural Arts. It's not the Mural Arts program. It's just the Mural Arts.
Yeah, Mural Arts program, Mural Arts Philadelphia. Yeah, I think that's all fine.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool because I didn't realize that Philadelphia. Well, I mean, you drive around, you see all of the murals everywhere, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know, they're from south to north.
Yeah, we are the mural capital of the world.
Yeah, I had no idea until I read the website. I was like, well.
Yeah, it's like it's a Philly pride thing.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It is really cool. I learned something new about Philadelphia. I've lived here for like 4 years now. It's crazy.
I also keep learning I had a fun discussion with friends on Friday about how Philadelphia was inspired by Pompeii's grid.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Fun fact.
See, that's really cool. There's so many, you can live here.
Yeah.
There's a comedian I knew. She grew up in like Delco. And she was going to art school for like an art degree. And they're like, "Oh, you grew up near Philadelphia. Did you go to the art museum?" She's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "You know the Rocky statue?" She's like, "Yeah, I love the Rocky statue."
Yeah.
They're like, "That building right there." And she's like, "Oh, I thought that was like a Capitol building or something."
Oh my God.
It was,
that's so interesting. But I think like people outside Philly will know it as the Rocky, like will know the Rocky steps over probably the museum itself.
The actual museum.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. That was Peggy O'Leary. Just shout out Peggy. Anyways, so yeah, I want to definitely jump more into the mural arts like program that you. I was wondering how we would introduce it.
Yeah.
And they had, you know, the opening statement on the website that I just want to read verbatim because it kind of describes it really well.
Yeah, I would say go for it.
Okay, so for 40 years, Mural Arts has united artists and communities through a collaborative process rooted in traditions of mural making to create art that transform public spaces and individual lives. Mural Arts engages communities in 50 to 100 public art projects each year and maintains its growing collection through a restoration initiative. Our core program areas, art education, community murals, porch light, and restorative justice, yield unique project-based learning opportunities for thousands of youth and adults.
Yeah.
Pretty solid rundown. Good website, too.
Yeah, the website's pretty cool, very dynamic. There's so much.
The timeline. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah. So really, really cool. You work in the community murals program, correct? Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you also said you know about all the other ones too, right?
Yeah. I can like speak a bit like all the different departments.
Okay. So start with the other ones and then end with yours.
Okay. So there's art education. So art education department works with mainly high schools. And do like after school programming with them.
Right.
They have like teaching artists and also visiting artists, and basically they're working towards like a larger public art
project.
Was
apparently established in 1999 based on the research on the website. The after school and summer art program.
Yep. So they still continue.
That's
and
cool.
They're really cool. The team itself is like lovely. I love the folks in art ed. I was in there for like 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a really cool department. So there's
a lot of teacher type. I mean, it sounds
so the
very
people
hands-on.
you have like the program and the project managers in art ed, and then there's also like teaching artists. So the teaching artists are working with the program managers to develop their curriculum, and then the teaching artists will be in the classroom.
Oh, cool.
With the students.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
the restorative justice, I assume that one's just for like keeping up older pieces?
So restorative justice actually is a department that trains and integrates folks who were formerly incarcerated.
Oh.
So
that's
so
cool.
they're trained in like painting and mural installation, and a lot of times like we'll hop on to like other projects in the organization, and they're a great group of people, and like they're super helpful.
Sure.
So it's just like a department just to train and give opportunity to folks who were impacted by the justice system.
Right, which is definitely important around Philadelphia for sure. That's cool. And then porch light?
Yeah, so porch light is sorry?
That one threw me through a loop. That's just porch light. The other ones are pretty
so porch light is a department that focuses a lot on mental health and harm reduction.
Oh.
So they're very, I think, like site-wise, mostly like have projects in like Kensington area.
Okay, so it's a program to help mentally ill people,
or like address like specific issues like suicide awareness or usage, things like that. I think one of their most recent projects is called We Are Here. Are We Here?
Oh yeah, in Kensington.
In Kensington, it's like those sculptural. There's like several huge sculptures that were done by this artist called Roberto Lugo. So that came out of the department, and then I know that there's another ongoing mural project with one of Mural Arts' staff artists, James Burns, and that is more related to mental health. So it's in collaboration with the children's hospital. So that's what they do, and I think they also have a storefront and work with like social workers, and I think in the past also Prevention Point.
Okay. So, in I have another. In 2001 they partnered with the Department of Human Services.
So I see why I think that department will get like some funding from that city department.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Now, community murals.
Community murals. Yes. So community murals. I think it's like in a way maybe like the first department of mural arts because of like that's just kind of like the founding of it.
Right.
Is like working with
the mural.
Yeah, arts. Like it's like working in the community and creating murals based on like that community's need or like that representation.
It's funny because it was established in 1984 as the Philadelphia Anti-Graffiti Network, and I was gonna say I had a graffiti artist on the podcast.
Oh no, I don't.
So I was like, oh no.
No, I don't think. I don't think anyone in mural arts is against graffiti.
Well, that's why they changed the name. I would assume
it's the Anti-Graffiti Network was partnering with graffiti writers and artists to create work in areas that are like marginalized and all, and areas that had a lot more of like a drug market and kind of pushing against that. And other.
Well, it seemed more like anti-graffiti was more like you use those, do it, but use it and do it organized and nice,
So and then like they transformed into like Mural Arts Philadelphia and stuff. So
again,
it started
much more
out,
pro instead of anti-graffiti. Is more pro art. It makes sense.
And then a lot of mural artists are graffiti artists themselves, and there are people in the organization who are really well versed in the graffiti history of Philadelphia too, and like pretty passionate about it.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool scene, and doing a little bit of my own research on graffiti artists, it seems like a fun lifestyle personally.
But community murals itself, it's either to kind of like honor someone who was impactful in that neighborhood, like let's say a block captain, or a political social activist, or just like figuring out projects that are essentially like a voice of that neighborhood or community. A lot of times also like city council members would also like back those projects and stuff. So
that's cool. So like one of the big ones that I know is like the Harrington, what's that guy? I'm not thinking.
Keith Haring?
Keith Haring, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a big, I don't know if he's all over, but I know there's a section.
There's a big mural of his, and I think it also recently got restored.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, because maybe that mural was probably from the 90s. So they would have had to, like, there was, like, structural stuff that they would have needed to address to restore and, you know.
And him being such a big name there. Like, we got to get on this.
Yeah. I mean, Keith Haring is a huge artist.
Do you, after being in these, do you have to know all the names now? All the major names?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
I do get to know names, like, over time, or, like, people who I'm working with, or, like, you know, in those circles and all. But honestly, like, I don't know, like, what are, like, other projects that even my own colleagues are doing in my department.
Oh, wow.
We're kind of, like, very focused on, like, the projects that we're with. So
that's a good way to put it. I'm 100% focused on my thing. I'm glad y'all are doing your thing over
there. It's kind of like that.
Right.
But,
yeah. No, that's a good way to do it. You're passionate about what
you're
doing.
So each mural has a project manager, and you're just...
if you want to know about their project, go get them on the pod, you know?
Yes,
what I mean?
kind of, like that.
Okay. Well, so how did you get interested in this line of work / art in general? That's kind of a broad question.
No,
you know?
Cool question. So I would say, I mean, art has always been a part of my life.
Sure.
Like, it's just something
it's usually
that I was doing since I was, like, a toddler, probably. And my mom, like, spotted that I was just, like, drawing and stuff, and like, you know, I was really encouraged to just keep going with it, and
so
go
you
to
had
art
some
class.
support with it.
Yeah, I did have, like, you know, familial support and fascination.
Do either of your parents do any?
No,
okay.
I'm I guess the first, like, I would say, I mean, I don't want to say, like, first artist, because, like, people are artists in their own rights, but like I guess the first professional, like, in the art scene.
Whoa.
In my family. So yeah, you know, just, you know, went to art classes at school or after school, and went to then actual art school for undergrad. I got my BA from Tyler School of Art at Temple.
Whoa.
So in visual studies, and I also got a certificate in community arts.
So what do you, like, what's your main thing? Do you just draw? Do you sketch? Do you paint?
Personal practice wise, I'm very multidisciplinary.
Okay.
I paint, I draw, I use oil pastel. I also do digital, so I like doing digital illustrations. I would call myself an amateur animator.
Whoa, really?
You know, like I use After Effects.
Okay.
Not Procreate. I've even dabbled with a little bit of, like, photo editing, like video editing, I mean, here and there. So, like, I know the Adobe Creative Cloud decently.
Yeah.
Right now I've been more focused on, like, painting and drawing, though.
Right now, that's your main thing.
Okay.
And is that what kind of got you, like, in high school?
So so I mean, I up until, like, finishing high school, all I knew, like, medium wise, was, like, painting and drawing.
Okay.
And then when I started art school, I was exposed to, like, so many different facilities and mediums.
I imagine that's what's cool about the art school, right?
I loved it. Like, it's just... So I would say, in a way, I sort of abandoned drawing and painting because I was, like, really into, like, graphic design and screen printing, and those are just really just cool mediums that spoke to me, and I just wanted to get good at that. So yeah, I really miss screen printing. I haven't done it in a really long time.
Oh yeah.
You just really need like equipment and like a studio for that.
Yeah,
but, like it's a little like it's a kind of like a complex.
But now you're back to drawing.
Yeah, so I got back into like drawing a couple years ago because I felt like I was losing my creative drive, and like I was kind of like forcing myself to think of concepts digitally, and it just wasn't working out, and I just did not have the motivation. And I was like, maybe I need to go back to basics.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like a foundation, you know, a thing that you... I mean, there's this book, like, I don't know, I forget what it's called, but it's about, like, writer's block, basically. And in it, she's like, big part of creative drive is your inner child. You know what I mean? Something like that, right? So
that's kind of how it felt like.
Yeah. So you go back to, you know, drawing and painting because that's kind of what you started with.
That's what I'm actually, I'm really into right now. So I was like, okay, let me just start drawing again.
Well, and what's cool is like all that other stuff you explored. First of all, you got to explore it, and that probably sparked its own, its own little pockets of creativity,
definitely.
Right? But then you can, take what you learned from some of those things and bring them back to, other forms, including drawing and painting.
Like I guess like one of my goals is to find out a way to kind of like bridge those two.
Between digital and
between digital and
actual.
Yeah, like tangible.
Tangible.
Analog.
Analog.
Which I might get into maybe like AR or something. I like augmented reality. So I ideally I'm thinking about like, okay, I have something like physically drawn out, and then maybe I can like animate it, and then like people can use their devices to like see a different dimension of it.
That'd be cool.
I've been seeing like people explore it now, and there's like apps and tools that are making this more like accessible. As well. So that is like something I do want to get more into down the line. But I am just enjoying like honing in on painting right now. It's been like over 9 years since I got back into painting around like August. And so it's just like I've had to like reteach myself.
Okay.
But it's going well.
It is going well.
It's going well.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I think like we said, when there's a creative block, you have to really like get back to the basics and everything. I mean, so like for writing, or if I'm trying to work on another movie project or something, one thing that I'll get in and out of touch with doing often is journaling. You know what I mean? That's like the most basic. Like all it is just free form writing.
Yeah.
And it can help immensely. It also helps me think a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you get lost in your own thought processes sometimes, and then you're like, let me just put this out, and then once it's out, I can kind of make it linear and understand where these thoughts are coming from.
I totally see that. We just like need ways to kind of like, I guess, vomit ideas.
Yeah. Do you do that with like sketches?
Not really. I think I need to get better on that. So far, it's just been kind of like, okay, I kind of have an idea, and luckily I'm able to just put it on paper or like on a canvas. And I don't fully plan out everything too. Like I'm still allowing like maybe as I'm drawing it or as I'm painting it, like, maybe I can do this or I can do that and add details. So like maybe it's like 70% planned and 30% ad hoc.
No, it makes sense. I was listening to this podcast, and it was like a scientific breakdown of creativity, and it was talking about convergent and divergent creativity.
Okay.
And usually people start with divergent creativity, which they described as basically like brainstorming, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing with like journaling, or like if I want to sit down and like, okay, I need a concept to start writing about.
Yeah.
And you just start throwing things like left and right. You're like, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And then convergent is, running through all different options and trying to create a one through line, like one theme type.
Okay.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought that was cool.
That's cool. So yeah, that's my personal practice right now. I go by, I guess like in a way online, I go by visual literature.
Okay.
That's like my Instagram handle.
Pen name.
I don't sign off on that, but yeah, like, you know, if you go on my website, it'll like show up. Well, my website's under construction.
Under construction.
Under construction over the past like 3 or 4 months.
I showed you my website when we hung out, and you're like, I don't, like, I have one too, but just take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
But my name means literature. So.
Oh, Sahiti.
Yeah. Sahiti means literature.
Wow.
So then, like, you know, visual literature.
Okay.
Like, you know, I'm creating like visual culture in some way or another. Like, I'm contributing it through my day job and also my personal practice.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. My name doesn't mean or crap. Sorry, my bad. But so you went to art school.
Yes.
And in art school, you found all these other things that stimulated you.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then do they kind of help you line up? Where did you go to art school again?
So I went to Tyler School of Art and Architecture at Temple.
At Temple. Okay. Yeah. And then they probably help. I mean, that probably helps with networking just in general.
Yeah. And I feel like, I think I am like, I was motivated to like, I want to find like a way to have like a stable job in this field.
Right. That's the biggest part of the whole thing.
That's like a thing. Like, you know, like there's like no one in my family who could tell me what to do. Like I'm grateful that my parents.
So you didn't have a lot of pushback?
I think it's just like questions with caution, especially
what,
like
what
from
do your parents do, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad's an engineer.
Okay.
So
yeah, very practical.
I mean, and he's an engineer,
Sure.
so he's like in the whole like HVAC and refrigeration, manufacturing and stuff. My mom has a higher education background in history.
Oh wow.
But she's a homemaker.
Okay.
And
A
she
homemaker.
it's a more gender neutral term for housewife.
Oh, okay. All right.
And she was a big like motivator and support in like, you know, me being in the arts, being an artist, because she did something that she is passionate about. And in a way, like I've also pursued things that she's passionate about because I have a master's in art history and arts management.
Yeah, for sure.
So like she just loves seeing what I create or what I'm working on or things that I'm reading about and stuff. Like she enjoys it.
Yeah, very cool. So you had a good foundational support, and and she pushed you, and then you had your dad who was like, "Well, let's make sure
I think it's good though, like because like it's good. It was good that he had like practical questions about like.
You need that.
Like, you need that. He could not speak for, like, what it would be like, you know? He just knows. He was learning along with me.
Yeah, it's a big unknown for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think, you know, some reassurance came first with going on tours of college campuses, like art schools and stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess this is a potential career you can pursue or this and that and all. And
very cool. Yeah, actively participating on
yeah,
those
so
tours.
I was, like, pretty determined from the start to, like, figure out ways to find something stable.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like, you know, whether it was just like doing internships with like galleries and arts organizations and stuff like that. So
I think that's like how you have to do it, I think.
Yeah. And I like learned like artists who are freelancers and are like, you know, into the gig life, like that's a whole other hustle. Like a huge respect for them to kind of like to constantly write applications, grants, like calls for art. It's a lot of work. And
do you work with a lot of people like that?
Yeah, Mural arts, like the artists who I work with for murals, they're mostly they work for themselves. So, you know, it's like it gives me a closer look into like their processes and everything and like the projects that they are juggling and all, and they have to communicate for themselves and deal with financials for themselves, like, you know, they're their own managers.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So it's like, you know, it's a it was a whole other ball game, which I just didn't feel confident enough to like get into in that way, but I do like a little bit of that 9 to 5 life.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Do you think it puts you in a box creatively though?
Put me in a box? Well,
because I work a 9 to 5 and I do artistic stuff.
Yeah, so I think I'm learning now more to kind of separate what I do at work and then like what I am like, you know, pursuing creatively outside of work. So, and I think that separation is like good for me. There was like, I think part of my past mind block was trying to fit in all these things and concepts and movements that I'm passionate about, and I was pressuring myself to make sure that's all represented in my own artwork. And I think that I put myself in a box for that. And then I was like, you know what? It's fine. Like I don't have to like address everything in my own artwork. So yeah, but in undergrad, I did a certificate in community arts, and that really exposed me a lot to the Philadelphia creative landscape. Like it actually got me outside the temple bubble and like visit like places in Philadelphia. Yeah. Work with people outside of that.
Right. Outside of the school.
Yeah, outside of the school. And like, you know, thanks to like the professors in that department are themselves like in doing socially engaged art and work in those projects. So like it was like through that program actually like I would say like largely got me where I am today.
So it was due to the school, which is great.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And so you highly recommend
highly recommend what?
Going to art school.
Okay. I mean, it really depends on person to person. There's so many people, artists, who are doing so well for themselves who did not go to art school either. So a lot of people are doing well going to art school, and a lot of people are doing well also not going to art school.
Yeah. Well, it's just a big question right now, especially at least within the film industry, because it has been going through a little bit of a decline since COVID, obviously. And a lot of people are, I've seen people like, should I even go to film school and pay for it at this point?
Right. No, that's such a good dilemma.
Yeah. It's tough, but I didn't. So, and I got to do the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I do wonder like how limiting it is. Do you know other people that you've worked with? I'm sure a lot of people that you work with have their own artistic endeavors that they're pursuing.
Actually, that's another really nice thing that I enjoy about being at Mural Arts is a lot of people that I work with who are project managers, directors, whatever, are practicing artists themselves.
Wow.
And it's inspiring to see them, like, they have work displayed at the airport. They have like works like in galleries and stuff, like, or they're part of collectives. So like seeing them is like really motivating for me, and
seeing them succeed.
Yeah, seeing them succeed and have these things going on for them like is like a very motivating factor for me, and it's an environment that I enjoy to be in because I'm like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and they're like so encouraging and stuff, and we can just share and all. Yeah, pretty much like a lot of people in Mural Arts are artists on their own.
Yeah. Have you ever met like somebody you got nervous around because you knew their art?
Maybe there's this artist, Simone Salib. She's right now like just finished her residency at Monument Lab. It's another public arts organization, and she has like a show at Paradigm Gallery. So I've known of her work way back, like maybe in like 2020, 2021. So just meeting, like, bumping into her over a couple of times, been to her studio over a year ago through work. So, I mean, lovely person, great artist. Yeah. But yeah, someone you see who's doing really well, like at least through social media and stuff, and then you get to see their process and their studio and all that. That's pretty cool.
I think it's cool to meet somebody that you have heard of that's in your industry, even if they're not huge, and then realize that they're human and have their, like you said, their processes and aren't perfect and are interesting people. Sometimes they're terrible people, but we don't have to talk about it.
Oh, luckily the artists who I've worked with or like interacted with are all great people to work with.
Okay, cool.
And like, very organized themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other interesting that I found when you were talking about your job specifically, which we can get more into, but it was how organized and how almost business-like it kind of seemed. You know what I mean? For such an artistic career, it seems that that there's a lot of organization and professionalism that is behind it.
I would say, I mean, Mural Arts, I mean, it's a pretty big public art organization. It's like the biggest in the country. So in a way, I think like if you're to scale something or to like, you have to work with so many different stakeholders, like there's going to be like organizational aspects to it or like bureaucracy and everything if you want certain procedures to happen in a streamlined way. I don't know, that's just like my opinion.
Well, so is that what so that's your that's what you do, right?
Yes. So like I guess like my role as project manager is like I do a lot of things. Like it's like, or all project managers in Mural Arts like do a lot of things. Sure. We're wearing different hats. Every week is like different, and it's like the role is pretty versatile. On one end, you're kind of like writing a proposal for a project at some wall or site, and then another end is like you're buying food for a community engagement event.
Wow.
You're doing things like that. Like as project manager, I would be like overseeing the budget, supply management, purchasing things, writing up contracts for artists, assistants, advisors.
Wow, so you have to write up proposals and contracts and
yeah.
a lot of writing.
We have like contract drafts and stuff.
Okay, we have ChatGPT, so
I actually don't use AI.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They're templates, right?
Yes, yeah, they're templates. So I just like fill out everything. But yeah, just that type of paperwork to facilitating like selection processes for like what artists will get like the lead gig.
Yeah, and you have it split, so the whole city is split up into different areas, right? Between project managers. Is that how it worked?
It's
like that.
it depends on the department the project manager is in.
Okay.
So
for your department,
I think like all. Like what parts of the city? What's your question?
Well, because weren't you recently given like a promotion where they gave you a certain area?
Oh, it's not a promotion.
Okay.
Yes, actually, I guess my body of work right now is more unique because it's focused on a neighborhood.
Oh,
but most of the time, like, it can be all over. Like, it's not like focused on a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mine is focused on a neighborhood is because we receive federal funding through the Philadelphia Housing Authority and known as PHA, and PHA is headquartered in a neighborhood in North Philadelphia called Sharswood. And so there's a lot of change happening there. The neighborhood is facing gentrification, while there's also pushback on through affordable housing, new affordable housing units, and just trying to support small businesses over there and give access to facilities. Like the Sharswood is a food desert. There was no grocery. The closest grocery store was Fresh Grocer on Temple campus, if anyone understands what that means. So having that, or working with organizations that are rooted in the neighborhood.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me that a mural can do all those things.
I don't know if murals are solving a problem.
Right. That's the goal,
right? But the general consensus is welcomed by people. People want to see have their neighborhoods become beautiful.
Didn't they do that with what was it, the Common Threads one? Do you know Common Threads? Oh, okay, it's on the website. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you with some trivia, with some Mural Arts trivia. But it seems like a lot. There are times where they try to get that one was made with I think it was what was it, 300 people? Yeah, 300 people in 2004 create holding grandmother's quilt.
Oh, okay.
And it was just 300 people from the community, and it got people kind of out, and they made this one big one.
Yeah, I think the level of how much the community wants to be involved really varies from project to project. But murals create space to kind of sometimes there are people who want a specific person to be memorialized because they passed away, so it's a way to kind of process and grieve, or creating a space if a mural is created where there's a patch of a garden and all that creates a space for people to gather.
Sure.
And then just having some art.
Well, yeah, that one helped revitalize a community center. It was just a rundown building, and they made a community center based around that project, and then from then on, use that community center for
a lot of
events.
rec centers and community centers have murals.
Wow.
There too, so
so there's some direct impact, but also I agree with what you're saying. Even on a grander scale, I'll have people come visit Philadelphia and be like, there's so much character here, you know what I mean? And it really does make you feel more welcome in being creative or trying to want to get involved in the community.
And I think what makes it mural making in Philadelphia is unique is because the murals have community input in it. The levels of it varies, of course, depending on what the project scope is and where it's located, but people want to be part of the concept of the mural, either whether it's from the concept or be part of community paint days and paint on the mural and all. People want to be a part of it, and that's kind of the standard that mural arts is created now in Philadelphia is community is involved. with the murals, versus like most of the other cities in the country like don't necessarily have to have community engagement with their murals. Like a lot of times, like if there's like permission from like the real estate owner or like wall owners, and I'm not too sure about what are the other bureaucratic or like processes are, but like it's not necessarily that like people are involved with the concept of those murals. Like murals can just go up.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
More artistically driven.
More artistically driven, or or it's just one person that you know they're like, oh, this person can do a mural here. This place would do well with a mural, you know.
Yeah. So like that Philly ethos, grit, pride is like there in somewhere.
Well, and I was gonna say that does happen in Philadelphia too. Like, what was it? 1989, Dr. J by Kent Twitchell. He used the new parachute cloth technique at the time in 1980. It was a new technique.
I didn't know it was from 1989.
Right, yeah.
Because that's primarily the technique we use now.
Really?
Yeah, wow. the cloth technique.
Well, that's what apparently it was a huge deal. They put it on the timeline.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so but yeah, that was just one guy that made that, you know what I mean? So that happens in Philadelphia too. But like you said, it definitely sounds like there's a focus on, at least if it is one person, how it's, where can we put it that'll help the community and, make an event and everything. So you're an event planner too? That sucks.
Oh my God, yeah. So there's like event planning. Of course, we have a communications, like we have, special focus area departments. We also have communications department, the finance department, development. So they're very important part of the organization. Yeah. So but I would be basically like collaborating with the communications team to do like event planning or to have like things like advertised and marketed and stuff like that. So there's like cross-departmental. Yeah,
you said you do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, so after getting into the role, you had to learn a lot, obviously. Or I don't know. Actually, I don't know if a lot of it was covered in school or.
So I mean, I didn't learn any about like mural techniques through school per se, but I through like just being with community arts. I think this was like beginning of 2019. There's this other mural collective called Amber Art and Design that came to Tyler to do a talk, and like I just introduced myself to them at that time. I just like graduated. And then I volunteered with them a couple of times, and then I got like my first like artist assistant gig through them. So my experience with making murals was actually making murals.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got to paint and install murals for a couple of months.
Okay.
In 2019. I think it was like between April till
How fun was
July. It was great.
Yeah.
So that was where I got to learn, about the parachute cloth tech.
Oh, yeah.
So the project that I worked then was like for different schools in Philly. I remember one of the schools is in North Philly called Edmonds, because I went back there in May to help out with another project, and I was like, this looks familiar. And I realized that I like did ground painting on the school like 5 years before.
Yeah.
So there were like different public schools, a school specifically that didn't have like a playground. So the projects, that body of projects was like doing murals that are also like interactive. One would be like hopscotch and all, but like there was just like other like more very creative games that were like painted on the ground or on the walls.
Okay.
Representing the schools.
So at this program, what would you call it? The Ruby, was it not?
Oh, it's called Amber Art.
Amber
Art and Design.
Amber Art and Design. So they gave you these projects, and then you made the murals.
I worked with like a team. So like I worked with all the lead artists, and then like we're working on like I think like several different murals at a time. So when I was in the studio painting, like I didn't know exactly which mural was what, but until we went to the school sites, and then like I understood, like based on the panels that we brought, like I got to know.
They give you, because murals are so big, so everybody has to work on a piece of the puzzle, and then you just put it together later.
So that was just like, it was just great, like to know an actual like process like that and like contribute to it, like. It was pretty lovely, and I learned about the mural cloth technique there. So
what other techniques?
I mean, there's a lot that goes behind with like the mural cloth technique. So
okay,
it's
so
like,
that's still the biggest one.
Yeah, that's still like that's most murals, I would say, at this point
in the world.
I can't speak for the world, but in Philadelphia are using mural cloth.
Okay.
So mural cloth like basically allows like the artist teams to work offsite. So, usually like each sheet of cloth is like 5 by 5, 5 by 6 foot.
Okay.
And you can approach it differently. You can draw on it directly. You can project the images and then trace it out. Or you can also get not the stencil, but we call it ghost prints, where you print out a saturated version of the design onto the mural cloth, and then you paint on top of it.
Okay, so is that through like digital? Well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people design murals like digital it, and then they scale it up.
Yeah.
So then, so it allows to work offsite, indoors. It also reduces liability issues being on site versus off site.
Yeah.
You would only need to be on site then, like just to put it up and like do touch ups.
Are there a lot of liability issues that come with being on site? I guess in Philadelphia.
I guess I mean let's say if you're using like scaffolding or lifts, like those type of things would be a liability.
You're not standing on a billboard like trying to paint the whole thing.
Scaffolding, you don't require training to be on it, but you have to be lift certified to use a lift.
Whoa, are you?
No, I have to go to New Jersey to do that.
And you've been avoiding it.
I've been avoiding it, but I have thought about it being a good skill to learn. I just don't know how to drive yet either, so I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to drive a lift before I drive a car.
Oh wow, you don't know how to drive?
I don't know how to drive.
Yeah, you should do that.
I know.
Quickly.
I know.
That's okay. You live in Philadelphia. You don't need to drive.
But yeah, so like those would be like, liability stuff. And then like weather. If it's winter time, then you can still go in the studio and paint.
Right.
Instead of waiting to be a seasonal thing. Yeah. Of course, it still is like seasonal when you have to like install the panels, but at least like you can do some work when it's like cold or even hot.
Have you had any events go awry?
No, thankfully.
Okay.
Like whenever so like usually when a mural is complete, we have dedications. So it's basically like inaugurating the mural. The scale of the event also varies. Okay. But you invite people who live around it, or the students who go to that school, or other stakeholders and all, and their speeches and stuff like that. Yeah. So dedication days are usually one of the areas that stresses me out because it can be like a publicity event. There could be press and things. So so it's usually dedication days, and the days we go on site is like my most stressful like times. And then site ones, when going on site, it's more like, will the supplies arrive on time? I hope there's no like other issues that come up. Like who knows? Like things can come up.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask about next is like your role as a manager, right? Yeah. Do you manage people?
I do manage people. Like I would be forming the install team. Okay. So like I'm working with the lead artist to form like a team of people to help them like make those murals and stuff. So like I'm managing that in some way because like I'm writing their contracts, I'm submitting their invoices. Okay. I mean I'm supposed to be the person who steps in if there's a problem.
Right. But so there's not like a team that works under you?
No. There's like each project has like different teams.
Okay, cool.
Different like install teams.
So you work in a team sometimes. And sometimes there is a team.
There's always a team if there's a mural under production.
Okay. But
the team always changes.
Oh, okay.
Like there's just you're contracted for that specific project.
Wow.
Like not me, like the artists,
right.
the artist and the artist assistants.
Interesting. So are all of the artists contracted?
Yes.
Wow.
Most of them, yeah. There are at Mural Arts there are 4 staff artists though, so they're like salaried folks, and they have like I think like really big city funded projects and all, and then they also step in for we have design reviews for murals. So there's like a committee, a panel that the project manager and the artist will kind of like have
hold
like
up like a 10 or like an
we
8?
have like a presentation. They'll give like feedback essentially.
Okay.
They'll give feedback and then like it's basically the approval process of the design.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have like a staff artist, and then the design lead person, someone from operations probably, or so it's like a mix of different people in the panel who give like advice and feedback or their appreciation on like different parts.
The organization part of this is stressing me out a little bit. You're like, everybody does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
There's so many different departments.
Like I'm supporting the artist to go through this design process too. Like I'm kind of like I'm not creating the design, but I'm sort of like that sounding board, or like I'm the first person who sees what they're working on, and then I would give them advice or like direction, and then I'll support them in like doing that review process.
Okay, so the first part is based off of like kind of your personal creative, like when they're sounding board.
I mean, usually like they'll start thinking about concepts once like the theme and the community engagement is like feels like it was done well enough,
right? And
then based on that, they'll start. So you can do concept reviews. So then you're just like reviewing like the different concepts and elements you want to include like in your mural with the design review panel.
Yeah.
And then you do like design review, which is like you feel like you're in that final stage of like completing the design. And
okay, cool. And that's what I was wondering. So like the first stage is like you guys kind of just talking it out.
I mean, like it's still all the artist and all. Sure. I'm just there to like support, like if they feel like stumped about something, like I could give a different perspective or an idea. And so a little bit of creative direction.
Well, that's fun too. You get to do a little bit at your job.
Like I said, I'm doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No, that's great though. I wish that I could find a way to do a little bit of creative stuff at my job, but I cannot. So I'm glad that you have
there's that outlet is there a bit.
The outlet is there a little bit. That's great. So how do you handle all the? Is it stressful?
It does get stressful sometimes.
Okay. Because usually people handle stress by doing like painting and creative stuff. So.
I think like what can stress me out is sometimes like you're interacting with so many different people, right? And you want to like please everyone. And that's just like the balance of like being like real versus like what you hope to happen is like I think like kind of like the dilemma that a lot of project managers have is like you're invested in this project and you want to see it be completed. You want to make sure the artist feels supported and is getting everything they need, and then but also you want stakeholders to be happy too, and like you don't want to offend them, especially if it's like a theme that is close to their heart, personal to them,
right?
And also there's relationship management that happens. So sometimes that relationship management can get a little stressful.
Is that with the relationship between you and the artist, or between?
It can be anywhere, of the few, even within the organization. Yeah. Right.
Right.
You wanna like do well for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't always do that.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
just being real.
Right.
Luckily, I've not come into many issues. If there's something that feels like a setback has happened, I will communicate that with the artist and kind of being like, okay, I think this is what we can do. Otherwise, or sorry, you might have to wait for some time.
So what would be an example of something?
So I would say like an example would be, I'll give like one of my project, like an actual project example.
Sure.
So I recently finished a mural series project with this artist, Marion Bailey. They're super cool. So The project that she was working on is at this elementary school in like North Philadelphia, Germantown area. It's called Pennell School. It's a K-5 school. The students are really cute and sweet.
So just real quick. So I'm curious, like I want to go through this process, like start to finish. So how did you even like meet this person? So do they give you a project? Do your
so I guess the way projects are actualized, really also varies. It really depends on like maybe it's the money that comes first. Like there's money that that's coming in, and then you make a project on that. Or there's some sort of stakeholder, whether it's a council member or a school won a bid or something. Then a project will arise from that. Or someone is actually like trying to work with the development department to get a grant through so that they can make that project happen. So this specific project, like at Pennell School, was something I inherited. So I wasn't like there when that funding came in and stuff, but this was just something that I got. And then when it comes to like selection processes with artists, it also really varies. So there's calls for art, or like there's a curated list, or it just really depends on the project and the manager. But so this school was part of getting like funding to get their playground revitalized. So they got like a really cool brand new playground with equipment from this designed by this studio called Salt. So they got a new playground, and then Mural Arts came in to do the mural aspect of it. And the purpose is to bring in playful learning. So playful learning is a concept that's, I think, like relatively newish. Well, I don't know if it's relatively new, but it's something that's coming up with urban planning. And basically like how in different urban spaces can be developed to create like learning activations and stuff for like let's say a bus stop or a community center.
So what does that mean? Like math games on the
Yeah, it could be math games. I don't know. it could be math games because there is in the mural at Pennell, one of the interactive elements is like wall ball and I Spy.
Oh wow. So, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's like it can really vary based on like what the students are into, what the school wants, and then what is feasible, I guess, like as a physical site. But yeah, it's a I'm still learning more about it, but playful learning seems to be kind of following me right now. But anyway, so this school, Marion, did some community engagement. We kind of interacted with K-2 students through activity sheets, and like they like drew things that they liked or things they want to learn about, or they like to learn about their favorite colors. And Marion used based on those activity sheets, incorporated some of that into the mural designs. So we were supposed to start being at the school we were hoping to be at the school by like June, because that's like summertime. It's usually like better to work at schools when students aren't there. When students aren't there. But it became clear that we were going to have to change our timeline for this project, because the school district, so there's like bureaucratic processes that you have to deal with. So in relation to
I've been watching The Wire. I don't know if you've ever seen this show.
The what?
The Wire.
No, I haven't.
It's all about that. It's okay.
Oh, interesting. So at least when you're working on school grounds, you submit this thing called the right of entry, which is supposed to be approved by people at the district. So it's basically like detailing what are you going to do there, and what supplies are you using, what materials, where is everything going to be stationed. They want to make sure that it's safe for students and there's no hazards in the way and stuff like that. So it just this time in the summer, this district, not just for my project, for many other projects, wanted even more language in the right of entries and stuff like that. So that delayed our start date
Okay.
where we didn't get onto site until like beginning of September.
Oh, wow.
So that is like something, is like a dent in your
Right. Why did they want more language? Just so that they knew exactly what you were doing?
I mean, I guess in the school districts, mind is like priority for them as students, right? They just want to make sure that students are not climbing up on scaffolds and stuff and like doing things.
Yeah.
So that is like a scenario where I had to communicate with the artist saying like, there's going to be some delays,
Right.
and like I'm not just communicating with the artist, but I'm also communicating with the principal who does not have control over what the school district wants.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it actually turned out to be really nice to start the mural work. So actually, for this project, we did direct-to-wall painting mostly.
Okay.
So not only one wall was parachute mural cloth, and all the 4 other walls were direct-to-wall painting.
Okay.
So it turned out to be a really positive experience, despite the school year starting, because students, their caretakers, faculty got to see these murals from start to finish.
Really?
So it was a very impactful for them to like see these artists come on site, interact with them. Like, these little kids are like asking questions and they're just excited to see this come up.
Yeah.
And also it turned out to be a good scenario. But like that would be like
doesn't always
a situation
like that.
where, and like, you kind of, I think when you're dealing with public, like public realm things, you kind of anticipate that something can happen. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, so like, that's how it happens on film sets too. So if you're out in a public place filming, you have to try to block off the public from coming.
Yeah.
And for the most part, so just like with kids, like you think they could get in the way or like make it worse and harder for everybody. But sometimes people are really helpful and they're like, oh, okay, I can stand there. Like, oh, okay, everybody be quiet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, just hearing from the artist, like, I think it was just really cute.
Yeah.
That just hear what, the students getting excited that they're getting murals at their school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, okay, cool. So what is your, like, trajectory? What is your goal within this this path?
Oh, my plan. In a way, I mean, yes, I feel like at this point I want to continue to be in public art versus maybe being in a museum institution and all. I'm really enjoying seeing like the end product of a mural on a wall and like people being like in awe of it. Like there's something really nice to experience when that happens. I don't know exactly like what would be like my next thing. I guess it's just,
you don't have to know. It's just
I think it's just working on more projects, collaborating with artists. Like I haven't been at mural. It's not even been 2 years at mural art. Okay. So I'm still learning.
Yeah, still learning
so much. Maybe something I've been kind of like thinking about a little more is maybe like urban planning. If I'm to do another higher education thing, which is not going to happen anytime soon.
You got to get your forklift
I need to get my lift
your regular car license first.
But yeah, urban planning, and I think urban planning and public art intersect, so it makes sense. I also I'll know like technical things, like I know about walls. Right? Like a brick wall or a smooth stucco wall versus like something that's really rough, and is there like are there like wiring issues, and these are like things that I would never have thought I would have known. But now you do, because you need to know if that wall is feasible for a mural or not.
And that's interesting. It became interesting.
And then also with the whole like playful learning ethos that I spoke about earlier, that's also kind of is intertwined with urban planning. So I think that's interesting, like, how people live and how they move and interact and feel about their spaces. And I went to Spain in June, so the way public space over there was really mind-opening to me.
It's crazy, isn't it? I went there last year. I like how they have, the city. None of they're not allowed to have 90-degree corners. They all have to have these open corners, so that way you can see there's no, nobody's creeping around the corner and it's all dark.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I totally see that. And just like so much like public space that felt intergenerational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With all the playground equipment or like exercise equipment or just places to chill and be at leisure.
Yeah, I'm sure that working in this field has given you a new perspective when you go and visit.
Yeah, when I go, like when I went to Spain, I was like, this is really cool. Just like the importance of, there's like importance of being outside. It felt like.
Right.
And so yeah, just like these little things that I'm kind of like mulling over or observing.
Yeah.
So this could be like an area. I would say like urban planning. I would want to pursue urban planning as a way to support public art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So that's, and then within your creative art, you tend to just do that, for funsies?
I wanted my personal projects to go in galleries.
In galleries?
Yeah.
Oh, so you do, okay.
So I do, like, I want to be, like, recognized as an artist in my own right kind of thing, you know? Whether I'm, like, this year, 2025, I want to apply for, like, more for, like, group shows or calls for art or, like, be part of a collective. Like, that's kind of, like, my goal for this year is putting myself... Website. Yeah, finish my website. I have to. Like, I need to finish my website. It's really important to finish, to have a website because they need to see your body of work.
Right, your portfolio.
My portfolio. But yeah, I do... I want to be in galleries.
Right. Okay. No, that's great. Yeah.
And like, it would be cool to be at the airport.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because I know several people, like personally, people who I worked with and like I'm friends with have work in the airport. Mm-hmm. And like, so I know that is a possible goal, whether if it's like, even if it's 5-10 years down the line.
Right.
And I feel like I sidelined my personal practice for a long time that I definitely like want to put more time into it.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you love almost everything you do. I'm jealous personally. You probably made everybody else here jealous. But no, it's cool. It's good to hear that. One, it's always good to hear somebody doing what they love.
Thank you. Yeah.
And two, it's always good to hear what they love doing is something that's good for the community.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you're always gonna have like these doubts of like, am I making good things? Is it actually beneficial?
Yeah.
You're gonna have all these things, but ultimately, I'm super happy and grateful to be where I'm at. I'm happy to be at Mural Arts. I'm happy where my personal practice is evolving, and yeah, it's cool.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. So, visual literature.
Yes.
Instagram. What's the actual handle?
It's at visual literature.
Really? You got it? You got visual literature? That's cool.
On Instagram, yes.
Hell
yes.
Yeah. Or heck yeah.
Weirdly, I can't get like at Sahiti because there's some profile that's not been active since like 2013 have that name. There's only 3 pictures on it, so I can't get it.
You should sue.
But visual literature as a website is not available.
Oh.
So it's just my name, Sahiti Bonam.
Okay. Do you want to plug your website yet? Because that would give you
sure.
like,
yeah.
This probably won't come out for like a month, so that would give you a month to like.
Oh, okay.
Really,
yeah. My website is sahitibonam.com. It's S for Sally, A for Apple, H for House, I for Igloo, T for Turtle, I for Igloo, B for Ball, O for Orange, N for Nancy, A for Apple, M for Mary.com.
Okay, can you spell it with all the other words?
Yes, SAHITIBONAM.
Okay. .com.
Okay.
Yes. Cool. I'm also just gonna put it up on the video.
Yeah. I just do all that thing because like people like the N and the M always gets like mixed up if you're like saying it. Yeah. And I am in the habit of spelling my name all the time.
Yeah. True. Yeah, when I first met you, I still have the note. You like spelled your name and then you put the pronunciation next to it, which was funny. But yeah, so check out all that stuff. Check out Mural Arts. I learned a lot from the website, especially because like I pass by these things every day. It was really interesting to read into it. So if you live in Philadelphia, I recommend.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like a mural that you see, look at the credit label. There's the credit panel, so it like lists like basically everyone who would have been involved with that project, and you are very likely to find it online, get more information online on that mural too.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll give you a fist bump and we'll wrap it up.
Thanks.